Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We would like to presentation about grammar and style, sentence styles, development, and illustration. The member of group 2 is Karina May Hendra, Resty, Septia, Riza, and Vitcha Sari. Grammar and style. A basic model of grammar. Most theories of grammar except the grammatical units are ordered hierarchically according to their size. This hierarchy is known as a rank scale. As the arrangement below suggests, the rank scale sort unit in a consists of relationship progressing from the largest down to the smallest. The largest and then morpheme is the smallest of unit in language. Four basic elements of clause structure: subject, predicator, complement, and adjunct. Here are some examples of clauses which display an SPCA pattern. You can read the slide or pause the video. Tests for clause constituents. Here are a list of useful tests for sorting out clause structure. Finding the subject. It so answers the question who or what place in front the verb. Finding complement. It so answers the question who or what place after the verb. Finding the adjunct. It so answers the question such as how, when, where, or why place after verb. Variation in basic clause structure. Imperative, which is the form typically used for requests and commands. There have no subject element. For examples, mind your head, turn off the light, close the door please. Interrogative, which is the form typically used for asking question. Many types of interrogative position part of the predicator in from the subject does. For examples, would the professor of necromancy wear lipstick every Friday? When there isn't enough predicator available to release a particle for the pre-subject position, a form of the proverb do is brought into play. Does the woman feed those pigeons regularly? In early modern English, the SP sequence was often simply evoked to make an integrative, as in the following absolutely anachronistic transposition of "Look the Aussie actress great in her latest film."
The next material is sentence styles, development and illustration. Sentence type. Number 1 is simple sentences. Simple sentence is the most simple type of sentence structure. However, it contains only one independent clause. For example, he ate his supper. He went to bed. You can see the boxes analogy below. The box 1 for sentence 1, the box 2 for sentence 2. Next, compound sentences. Compound sentence is a sentence that has at least two independent clauses that have related ideas. The independent clauses can be joined by a coordinating conjunction. F for, A for N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. For example, he ate his supper and he went to bed. He ate his supper is independent clause and is coordinating conjunction. He went to bed is independent clause. And next, he ate his supper, so he went to bed. So is coordinating conjunction. And next, he ate his supper, but he went to bed shortly after. But is coordinating conjunction. It is the boxes analogy from compound sentences. The box 1 is independent clause and the box 2 is independent clause. Compound sentence not only consists of 2 independent clauses but can be more. You can see the example here. The next is complex sentences. Complex sentences involve 2 possible structural configurations. The first configuration involves subordination, where the subordinate clause is appended to a main clause. For example, when he had eaten his supper, he went to bed. When he had eaten his supper is dependent clause and he went to bed is independent clause. When he had eaten his supper is appended to a independent clause. This is the boxes analogy from the first configuration of complex sentence. The box 1 is dependent clause, the box 2 is independent clause. If the box 2 taken away, the box 1 will fall down. The second type of complex sentence involves the embedding of one structure inside another. This pattern involves taking a unit at the rank of clause and squeezing it inside another clause. This means that the embedded clause has had to be pulled down a rank or down rank in order to fit inside a structure of equal size. For example, C announced that he had gone to bed. Down rank in the sentence is that he had gone to bed. So, it put in inside of the box and the outside of the box is main clause and the main clause is C announced.
Okay, we go on to trailing constituents and anticipatory constituents. Constituents is a word or a group of words that function as a single unit. Although coordination between clauses is a founding principle of compound sentences, the same operation can be performed on other grammatical ranks. Usually coordination just a link between clauses that we found in a paragraph or sentence, but in this section it's about coordination between words. For example, we look at the couplet from Shakespeare's Macbeth. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day. Tomorrow is the adverb. Tomorrow are tied together with a conjunction, with coordinating conjunction, and it forms as an adjunct. The grammatical structures in the couplet is the grammatical structure in the couplet is create temporal bookends around the main predicator creeps in and the subject dispetipace element. The stylistic effectiveness of this configuration can be tested simply by pulling it apart. The following unraveled version has little impact, and nor does it seem to make sense. So, to make the example be more sense, we should arrange the example by pulling it apart. So it becomes like this. This petty pace creeps in from day to day. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Next to stylistic technique. First, equivalent constituent. Equivalent constituent is when the weighting of elements on either side of a subject and predicator is balanced. The sentence equivalent if it consists of subject, predicate, complement, and adjunct. For example, you walk with me among watermen and bog myrtle when I was tongue-tied. There are in the sentence there are two adjuncts that have a balance in the sentence. The first adjunct is with me, and the second adjunct is weatherman and bog myrtle. It is become a balance because the first sentence you walk with me is I have one adjunct, and the second sentence when I was the second example among watermen and bog myrtle when I was tongue-tied, it also have one adjunct. Adjunct can be placed whenever we want, so it doesn't matter. It is placed the first before subject or the end of the sentence. Second, trailing constituents. Trailing constituents, it is the term used in stylistic for unit which follow the subject and predicator. For example, trailing constituents is tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It is trailing constituents example. Trailing constituents is repeated the same structure or constituents. It also have example of trailing constituents in equivalent constituents. You walk with me among watermen and bog myrtle when I was tongue-tied. In structure, you as a subject, walk as predicator, with me is an adjunct, among watermen and bog myrtle is an adjunct. I is as subject, is predicator, tongue-tied is complement. I say it is trailing constituents because the adjunct is repeated. The adjunct is repeated. The adjunct with me and among watermen and bog myrtle. It as trailing of adjunct structure. The third, anticipatory constituents, where the adjunct and subordinate clauses are placed before the main subject predicator matrix. Usually, equivalent sentence have a rule like SPCA or subject predicate complement adjunct, but in anticipatory constituents, the adjunct comes first before the subject and predicate. For example, to the left, a group of barren islets had its foundations set in a blue sea. To the left is an adjunct. A group of barren inlet is a subject. Head is a predicator. Its foundation set in a blue sea is a complement. So the adjunct come
come first before the subject and predicator and complement. Illustrating grammar in action, Dickens' famous folk. This literary text will be analyzed by five grammatical patterns. Feature one. A key stylistic feature is the way the central noun. In the Dickens' famous folk, folk is the central noun because folk is elaborated throughout the passage. It is a resource of grammar that nouns commonly enter into combination with other words so that any particular or special qualities they possess can be identified and picked out. For example, in a phrase like the Zig Grey folk nearby, the grammatical slots around the word folk are filled up by a determiner, the, two adjective Zig Grey, and an adverb nearby. Features 2. Features 2 is a popular interpretation of this passage is to see it as a text with no verb. For example, at the Dickens famous folk number 4. Folk creeping into the cabooses of collier brigs, folk lying out on the yards, and hovering in the rigging of great ships, folk dropping on the gunwales of barges and small boats. In the sentence, it doesn't verb because the part of predicator element is offered, but significantly one key element is omitted. This element known as the finite. The finite is creeping. It's often expressed by auxiliary verbs, and it serves to provide, among other things, tense, polarity, and grammatical agreement with the subject. By offering only the main verbal component in lying, creeping, and picking. That's the predicator element which is offered. Features 3. The passage abounds in trailing constituents in which grammatical build-up takes place toward the right of the main predicator position. For example, we can look at the number 2 from Dickens' famous folk. Folk up the river where it flows among green edges and meadows. Folk down the river where it rolls, the field among the tears of shipping and the waterside pollution of great and dirty city. The word that repeated is the constituent is repeated is it flows and it rolls. The pronoun it serves a possible dual reference with respect to its two potential antecedent, the potential antecedent in the main clause. Antecedent is the word that pronoun replaces. Mean that it refers to the folk. Features 4. There is gradual narrowing of spatial focus as a passage progresses. We can look at the sentence or the fourth sentence. Creeping into the cabooses, lying out on the yards, hovering in the rigging, dropping on the gunwales. However, just as the overall spatial focus narrows, so the transitivity patterns shift to a goal-directed one. The last feature feature 5. The final sentence of the passage offers a good illustration of internal foregrounding. The pattern established from sentence 1 through to 5 gradually from its own text internal norm, so to keep us on our interpretative toes. As it were, Dickens subverts the pattern in the 6th sentence. By showing how a pattern initially built through parallelism and repetition can ultimately be turned on its head, this 5th stylistic feature illustrates well the fluid and dynamic properties of foregrounding. Grammar and Genre, a short study in imagism. From experience to language. This unit experiments with grammatical patterns in poetry. It helps us think about the processes involved translating experiences and thoughts into the type of text that is formed. This is the letter from a well-known American writer to his friend. It has anticipatory constituents from the first paragraph. For well over a year, I have been trying to make a poem of a very beautiful thing that befell me in the Paris underground. For well over a year is a adjunct, so it is an anticipatory constituent. And the second sentence, I got out of a train at, I think, La Concorde, and in the jostle I saw a beautiful face, and then turning suddenly, another, and then a beautiful child's face, and then another beautiful face. This is a trailing constituent because the repeated words are a constituent in the sentence, like another, and a beautiful child face, and then another beautiful face. We can include it as a trailing constituent.